Okay, check this listing out. This is in Brentwood. It's listed for 1.15, but look at this price action here. Started in June at 1.45. They're now down to 1.150, and you will not believe what they bought this for in 2022. It's why data is local and you need to pay attention to it. We're going to come back to this, but first I want to give you a market update on what has happened in Nashville housing market. Okay, so for November, and I told you guys we would touch the median sales price record. We actually ended lower than what I thought we would end, 500,000, which again is scorching. This is up 6% year over year, and it's really touching what the peak of the market was. We saw it here at the beginning, in the spring, it was really hot, 505, again, touching that top again, April 505. And you have to go back to really 2022 to see those 500 numbers. And here we are with a 5 handle in November with 2,000 in terms of close volume, which by the way is up. Like if we look, let me show you 2023, November, we only closed 1868. So not only did we have more close, but we had a scorching $30,000 increase over where we were last year. This, and we had about 1,000 more listings in inventory. Really interesting that that's what's going on. By the way, guys, if you use Realtor.com data, I am going to do a video on this, but Realtor.com data is just wrong. I don't know how else to say it. It's just wrong. So if you're using it, be careful. It started on the pending side a couple months ago, but now the listing side is showing some really wrong data, which is really makes me sad because I loved it and I wish it was right. But be careful if you're using other data sources. Only mine's right. I'm kidding, but I know that mine's right because I spend all the time trying to make sure it's right. Nonetheless, prices have been scorching. Now, when I look at this, I think, well, where are they scorching? Like, where are we seeing prices as high as they were in 2022? Because it doesn't feel that way. But there's actually a lot of neighborhoods that aren't that way. There's a lot of houses that are selling well below where they sold for in 2022. But there's also a lot of neighborhoods that are pretty strong. And you can see it here. Let me show you an example. Here, this is my neighborhood tracker, which by the way, I'm adding neighborhoods every single day. We've got some Murfreesboro, starting to get some Columbia. I've got some Hendersonville. You guys asked for Hendersonville, so I added Hendersonville. Now we got Lebanon here, and we got Mount Juliet. Now, in Mount Juliet seems pretty strong. Let's just take a look at one. This closes about 73 a year. Let's just take a look at it. And you can see, look, priced $226 a square foot. Now we're at $232. It's moderately higher, touching the high. And we can see it's just been it's a strong neighborhood. It's a strong area. When we look at sales price here, we can see sales price is in the range of 400 all the way up to 800, but really around that 600 price point seems to be where a lot of houses are selling. Look at these. These are resales above where new builds are. It just seems kind of risky to me. I don't know, maybe where they are. So anyways, some of these neighborhoods like in Mount Juliet are super hot. Let's mosey on over to Lebanon where it's feeling a little bit softer in my opinion. Let's find a neighborhood with some pretty decent volume here. This one has 51. You can see here we have 15 active listings versus 2 under contract. So it's very soft. It's the softest it's been all year, although last year there was more active listings, but there's also more contract volume, a little bit more action here. And you can see, look at this price, 238. We're now touching 196. It's starting to get really soft. Transaction volume's down. This neighborhood, soft. Buyer's market in this neighborhood, it's kind of good to know. Now, when we look at active listings, we can see we actually have 2 under contract that would suggest that prices are going up even in this neighborhood, which is really interesting. That's pretty interesting. So it kind of supports the narrative that there are neighborhoods where prices are going up, even though it looks soft. I mean, that's just weird to me that of all the active listings you can see here, the ones under contract are showing really above, you know, it's positive or right in line with where the median price is. And when you look at price per square foot, you can see it's higher. So pretty interesting. Let's take a look at another one. Let's go to Hendersonville. Okay, Hendersonville, here's an area with 100. Let's just see what's going on over here. This is Colonial Acres. Wow. Okay, so you can see in 2023, Contract volume was right in line. This was a major seller's market in 2023, and it just broke in the summer. So remember in the summer when I said, oh, prices are about to drop? It really broke in this neighborhood. And now you can see we have active listings as high as we've seen them, and contract volume is just kind of hanging in there where it was. We see our discounts, our price cuts are now there's 12 price cuts. So this is a little over 30%. And it would suggest to me that prices are probably going to drop a little bit. Notice that transaction volume is positive, so that's good. We can see what's under contract is right in line with where things have been selling. We'll see where those come in when they close. But that's interesting from a sales price perspective. It does look like the prices, if these close relatively close to where they're contract, it does look like prices will kind of be higher than where they've been running in this neighborhood. Kind of interesting in my opinion. So we are seeing, even in soft looking neighborhoods, we are seeing, where's Durham Farms? Oh yeah, there's Durham Farms. Let's see Durham Farms. Durham Farms, look at this, active listings 30, contract volume 2. Man, it is frigid cold in Durham Farms. This is a great time to make an aggressive offer in Durham Farms. I think a lot of those are new builds. They've been selling a lot of houses, but man, right now I would push real hard on Durham Farms. It's a popular neighborhood. I actually really like it. It helps somebody buy in there. As long as they're building new builds, let's see what the new builds are compared to existing. Here we go, built info. So you can see new builds, they are building a lot of new builds lower than where the existing are selling. And as long as those new builds are coming in for lower than existing, it's going to put pressure on prices here. So this neighborhood's getting kind of pushed really hard with the new builds. And it really depends on which builder. I know Lennar was building in there and they're kind of cheaper. We've got a couple other builders in there that are nicer, Pulte. Anyways, here's my point in all this. It doesn't matter what the median sales price is. It matters about the dynamic of the neighborhood you're buying in. We've got more transactions, we've got a higher median price. But in these neighborhoods, you can see that, let's go to Brentwood. Williamson County's been so hot. Brentwood, this neighborhood, I'm about to show you this listing, and you can see transaction volume positive. That's a good thing, okay? But we have a problem with this listing because they bought it in 2022, okay? They bought it in the spring of 22 when there was a 2-week supply in this neighborhood. They're now trying to sell it when there is the equivalent of what feels like a 4-month supply. And by the way, there was 15 active listings in this neighborhood in August with only 4 under contract. 3/4 of the listings in this neighborhood had price cuts on them just a couple months ago. So the point of that is this neighborhood got real soft. So they bought in a seller's market. Now they're trying to sell in a buyer's market. Let's go back and look at this price history here. Okay, they bought it in May of 2022 for $1.55 million, and now they're selling it for $1,150, $400,000 less. Now, truth be told, when they dropped it $200,000, they got an overwhelming response, and now they have multiple offers. So they definitely found the floor when they dropped it $200,000. It'll likely go over the $1,150. Maybe not much, maybe $50K would be my guess. They'll probably sell it for $1.2 million. That would be my guess. But $1.2 million when you bought it for $155, I mean, that's a $350,000 cut. Guess what? This is a hot area. This is a hot area. This location you cannot beat. So the point is that making sure you understand the local dynamics of the neighborhood you're buying in, and even what it'll rent for, what are the comps, but not just comps, what are the trended comps, what are the sales comps, what are the price per square foot comps, how are they trending? All that stuff matters when you buy a house, so you can think about valuation and protect yourself on the downside. Because let's be honest, there's high risk that properties could drop. They may drop still. They may not. They may go up. I mean, who knows if they're going to print money? I don't know. I certainly don't know if they just pull a QT and then all assets drop. I don't know. That could happen too. So anyways, my point is like what you want in this market. I can't forecast price. Nobody can forecast price. But what I can do is provide you with the best data out there for the dynamics of the neighborhood you're buying in. You can be looking at a neighborhood and I can tell you why that house is priced where it is. Like in Sylvan Park, this house right here, let's see if I can find it, $1.5 million. They're trying to sell this for $1.6 million. It's been on the market 67 days. They're having a hard time. Okay, I talked to the list agent about it because we looked at this property. And the problem is, I'll show you the problem. The problem is that they bought in the spring of 23, where it was basically a 1 month supply of houses when they bought. Okay, now we have 20 active listings in this neighborhood with only 6. It's over a 3 month supply is what it feels like. But it's not just that. Let's come down here. We can see, we're gonna change this to property subtype, okay? Look at this green dot right here. This green dot was that listing. It's an outlier on the listing. They're trying to sell it for $600 a foot when nothing this year, except for 2 in March, sold for $600 a foot. Now, not only that, but you can see that this neighborhood, the trend, it's the most expensive listing on price per square foot in the neighborhood right now. You're probably not going to get that price, but you never know. Someone could come in and buy it, great. Some buyer from California, but there's a lot of listings right now. There's 1,000 more than there was last year at this time. There's a lot of motivation out there. Notice in 22, listings have grown way more this year than they grew last year in Greater Nashville. Contract volume, even though it's structurally up, is now starting to dip closer back to where it was in 2023. Still 10% higher than it was a year ago, but that November Trump boom may be starting to phase out. Now, if you are thinking about buying right now, one thing that I like is looking at discounts on properties that have been discounted. So what I mean by that, after a property's been discounted, how much more discount can you expect? In other words, if a property's been discounted, let's say 0 to 3%, can you expect to get something off? The answer is the median amount is about 1.1%. But look at that lower quartile, which I think is super reachable. The lower quartile here is just taking the median and then plotting everything that fell below that and then taking that median. And I think, the half of the transactions fell below 1.1%. To get in the middle of that, you get 2.8%. So super easy. You should be able to get about 2.8% off a property if you just ask for a discount on a property that's been discounted, essentially. If it's been discounted, you should be able to get another 2.8%. Now, interestingly enough, if they've dropped their price 6 to 9%, so once they get past the 5%, that means the original list price is 5% higher than where they are now. They've dropped the price more than 5%, 6 to 9%, okay? You should be able to get a 2 to 6% discount. That means you can get another 5% on a property that's dropped 5%. I think that's so interesting. There's 121 listings that closed this last month that dropped their price more than 5%, just in the 6 to 9% column right here, okay? Again, what does this show? It shows that people that drop their price can go even further. I think that's kind of cool. Gives you the advantage when you take that data and you strategically go after houses. Of course, once you decide the house you want, if you get emotionally attached to a house, I lose all negotiating leverage. So please don't get so attached to a house that I can't negotiate on your behalf. I'd love to really try to deliver for you here. And again, this is what it looks like. Okay, real-time price tracker. One thing I want to show you, we ended the month at 500. We're still about 500 right now, but the contract price is starting to drop significantly. So we're now below 500 again for contract price. Price cuts, kind of flat. I do think we're going to have a soft December and January. Will it still be up from a year ago? Very likely, but in December is very likely. But they're also kind of hard months to predict just because of a lot of the in-month shenanigans that go on. So with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Thanks a lot.